This station is probably a prime example of why this new proposed roster shouldn't be implemented. A few years ago it had a similar roster and it was just a revolving door. No one ever stayed, came and went as soon as they got here. Like even the community, like as soon as I arrived here they'd be like, oh, so how long are you staying for? And then we've actually been like told by staff at the hospital, oh, we've never got to know the Ambos in town because they never stay long enough to stay. But with this 8x6 roster, it's great. And we've had a constant workforce here for the past 2 years. Everyone's willing to stay because you have the work-life balance.
Interns will get sent straight here from Rozelle and be wanting to leave from day one. When you can't leave town on your days off, when you've got 2 days off to recover, how are you going to stay in these towns and be sane?
We've worked rosters that weren't even as bad as the one that they're proposing in the past, and they seem to have forgotten what things were like in the old days, and it was a constant revolving door of staff just passing through, unhappy staff, doing whatever they could to try and get compassionate transfers out of the place, and just they don't participate in the community, they don't get along with the other staff, everybody's unhappy, and it impacts the services that we provide.
You'll get people just leaving as soon as they possibly can. No one will want to stay here.
Management is find it difficult to fill those on overtime in the past, and so it leaves a single officer crewing majority of the time.
Skill levels are going to decline possibly. You might get people sent out here forcibly, so they won't want to stay if they get used to this, or people just won't apply for positions that become vacant.
People that have been established in these areas for quite some time, who have built up rapport with the community members, are familiar with the histories of the community members that they serve. It is going to see them leaving for either greener pastures, so to speak, be it inside the service or leaving the service altogether.
You've even got staff in more desirable types of towns like Byron Bay talking about leaving the job altogether. When you're out in these remote communities that are hard to find people to begin with, then you get staff not coming out here, not staying out here. And the impact that has for the communities is ultimately it impacts their clinical skill level.
I'm always learning out here, and I guess if the staff numbers are reduced out here, that's also going to reduce my learning capacity.
A perfect example of why the new proposed roster doesn't work is Mungandai. It's a station that's closest to us to the north. It's got it, and it's just a revolving door. Staff go as well, and the service is having trouble staffing it. They have to pull staff from other close stations, and then the effect just rolls onto the other stations. Everyone's short, the communities suffer because they haven't got enough staff.
Oh, I think the community is going to be devastated. I mean, we will still have 3 officers here, but they're going to be supplemented from Bourke. Let's face it, it takes an hour to get from here to Bourke, at best. Whatever emergency that was, it'll probably be well and truly a big emergency by the time they get here.
We'd have trouble in engaging other staff to come out bush. The government officers, council staff, even out in the farms. People, if they didn't have that backup from the ambulance, they'd think twice about coming out here.
When you've got someone you love laying there on the floor seizing, and you've called the ambulance and they'll be there soon, and you know it's only going to be 10 minutes or so, but it seems like it's forever. If we'd have had to wait for an ambulance to come for half an hour, he probably wouldn't have survived because I couldn't help him.
I think the response from our community here, who are very proactive and very supportive of our ambulance service, that this is a backward step. We're going to go from 5 to 3. Now that's a massive reduction. And it doesn't matter which way you're going to look at it, that's got to be a reduction in service as well.
Continuity is good. They become such an important part of the community. Everyone knows them.
Will we still have the same team, or will we have a different team, or what will happen?
The clinical skill out here is even more important than in the city or more populated areas. And if they can't attract staff to stay out here, then they end up with the lower clinical skill, or just vacant spots altogether where you have single officers responding because they haven't got the latest level 2 class hasn't started and they haven't sent someone out here. You've got more overtime, and just single officers responding with police and that sort of thing going on. It's important to provide incentives to retain staff, especially in these remote areas.
We've got a good point system. The service seen the need to to have a point system to retain staff out here in the western regions, which has been working well. We've had stations that people have been doing their 2 and 3 years and happy to stay because they have these rosters where they can still go home.
As an incentive at Walgett, they brought in a priority station system, and this meant a series of incentives that were brought in, one of these being the 8x6 roster. Since the introduction of the roster system, Walgett has been able to retain staff. Stability has been restored here. We now enjoy a good skills mix. We have paramedics from a paramedic intern level right up to an ICP level, and this enables us to provide excellent care to the community here.
You get to know people, get their trust, you know people's histories, you get involved in the town, they will call you more, where you get a lot of older people out here that will have chest pain for 2 days and not call you because they didn't want to worry you. But if they get to know you, we tell them that, we tell them it's important. But if it's a stranger, they're not going to want to call again.
So it's not saving money, it's not saving time, and it's just not having that confidence that help is so close at hand.